guys, today we're going to be going over polynomial long division and synthetic division. So let's get started. Okay, I'm going to start off with polynomial long division. So we're going to start off with 3x to the fourth minus 5x squared plus 3 divided by x plus 2. Okay, first you want to format it. So we're going to go over here. We're going to put x plus 2 on the outside. And we're going to put this on the inside. Okay, we're going to start off with 3x to the fourth. And then we can see here that the exponents jump from 4 to 2. And so to make it easier, we're probably going to, to make that easier, we're probably going to put 0x to the third in between, just so it's easier to format later on. And same thing over here, this one's missing just an x, so we're just going to do a 0x. If you just put them back in the equation, they wouldn't exist, but it's just easier. So we're going to do plus 0x to the third minus 5x squared plus 0x plus 3. And then we're going to start by dividing the two initial terms. Okay, so up here we're going to do 3x to the fourth over x. We know that when we divide exponents, we subtract them. So we do 4 minus 1 because this is a 1. So it's going to be 3. So it's going to be 3x to the third. This is a 3, so we want to put it on top of this one. You don't have to, but it's just easier. 3x to the third. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take this number and multiply it by x and 2. Okay. So 3x to the third times x is 3x to the fourth. 3x to the third times 2 is plus 6x to the third. Now what we're going to do, we're going to subtract the whole thing like we do in division. So 3x to the fourth minus 3x to the fourth is 0. 0 minus 6 is negative 6x to the third. Negative 5 minus 0 is just negative 5 squared. And 0 minus 0 is just 0. And 3 minus 0 is 3. Okay, and we say that it's x third over here, but it's still x over there, so we want to keep going. Okay, now we take negative 6x third and x. We go over here, negative 6x to the third divided by x. And we know we want to subtract, so 3 minus 1 is equal to 2, so it'd be negative 6x squared. We're going to bring it over here on top of the negative 5x squared, put on top, negative 6x squared. We're going to do the same thing and multiply by the two terms. So negative 6x squared times x is negative 6x to the third. Negative 6x squared times 2 is minus 12x squared. What we're going to do is we're going to subtract again. So negative 6 minus negative 6 is negative 6 plus 6, so it's going to be 0. And then negative 5 plus 12 is going to be 7x squared. And 0 minus 0 is just 0. 3 minus 0 is just 3. Okay, we have x squared over here, and we have x up there, so it still doesn't match. We're going to do it again. Again, 7x, x. Over here, 7x squared divided by x. 2 minus 1 equals 1, so it's just going to be 7x. Now we're going to bring it over here up top. We're going to multiply by the terms again. So 7x times x is 7x squared. 7x times 2 is going to be 14x. And we're going to subtract again. Okay, so 7x minus 7x is 0. 0 minus 14 is negative 14. And 3 minus 0 is 3. Okay, we have x and we have x, but you can still divide them, so we're going to have to go again. What color should I do? Purple. Okay. Negative 14 and x. So negative 14x over x, 1 minus 1 is 0, so x cancels out, and we're left with negative 14. So we bring that up top. We multiply by the two terms again. Negative 14 times x is negative 14x. And negative 14 times 2 is 28. Okay, now we're going to subtract again. Negative 14x plus 14x is 0, and 3 minus 28, wait, oh, it's negative 28, hold on, let me fix that. Because negative 14 times positive 2 is negative 28, oops. So 3 plus 28 is 31. And we can't divide 31 by x, so we know that we're done. And this will be our remainder. Okay, and now to format this, okay, so the answer always starts with this term. I don't like that color. The answer always starts with the term that you get up here. So it's going to be, oh, I don't know if I can fit this. Okay, so the answer is going to be 3x to the third minus 6x squared plus 7x minus 14. And yeah, I don't think I'm fitting this. Hold on. This down. Okay. And then we're going to take the remainder, which is 31. I'm going to do a different color. This one. Okay, we'll take the remainder. We'll add it. But we have to put it over this number too, because we know that it's not fully divisible by this. So we have to put it as a ratio. What one I used. We're going to take this. I'm going to do x plus 2, and that is our final answer. Okay, let's do another one. Okay. Let's do this. X to the third minus 2x squared minus 4 divided by x minus 3. Okay, so let's go to format it again. X minus 3 on the outside, and we have x to the third. It doesn't jump any numbers, so it just goes from 3 to 2. It's really ugly. 3 to 2, so we're good. But we don't have 1, we don't have x, so we're gonna make this 0x, okay? Minus 2x squared plus 0x minus 4, okay? And we're gonna do the whole thing again. We'll start with red. We have first terms, x to the third over x is equal to x squared. 3 minus 1 equal to, okay? And since x squared, we're going to put on top x squared. Oh my gosh. X squared. I don't think I like that. I'm going to move it down. Okay. We have x squared. And then we're going to multiply by both of the terms again. So x squared times x is going to be x to the third. And x squared times negative 3 is going to be negative 3x squared. I'm going to subtract the whole thing. 3x to the third minus x to the third is 0. Negative 2 plus 3 is going to be 1x squared. Okay. 0 minus 0 is just 0. And negative 4 minus 0 is just negative 4. Okay, we can still divide x squared and x, so we're going to do it again. Okay, x squared and x over here. X squared divided by x is 2 minus 1, and we have 1. So we're going to have x. Put that right next to this on top. And then we're going to multiply by the terms again. So it's going to be x times x is going to be x squared. X times negative 3 is going to be negative 3x. I'm going to subtract again. X squared minus x squared is 0. 0 minus negative 3 is going to be positive 3. And negative 4 minus 0 is just negative 4. And we can still divide 3x by x, so we're going to do it again. Take 3x, take x. We're going to do 3x divided by x. And it's just 1 minus 1, which is equal to 0, so they cancel out. It'll be 3, so it's plus 3. Okay, now we're going to multiply again on the terms. Okay, so 3 times x is going to be 3x. 3 times negative 3 is going to be negative 9. Subtract again. 3x minus 3x is 0. Negative 4 plus 9 is going to be 5. So that is our remainder. We have another one. Okay, and now we're going to format this. So the answer over here is going to be over here. X squared plus x plus 3. Our remainder is going to be 5. So it's going to be plus 5 over this. It's going to be x minus 3. And that is our answer. Okay, now we're going to move on to synthetic division. And this, oh my gosh. Okay. And this only applies if you're dividing by a binomial. So this is a binomial, and this one was 2. So we could have used it, but you can only use long division. Well, you can only use synthetic division for binomials. So if you have a trinomial, you can't use synthetic. But I'll show you anyways. Our first example is, okay, 7x to the third minus 1 divided by x plus 2. Okay, and so this time we're gonna, before it was like this, now we're just gonna flip it upside down. Okay, first we're going to do this. So in order to put it out here, we have to isolate the x. So we're gonna solve for x equals 0. So x is equal to negative 2. So we put negative 2 on the outside. This one, for this, we have to use the coefficients of all the numbers. So if we bring it down here, we have 7x to the third, we need x squared, so it's going to be 0x squared. And we also need an x, so it's going to be plus 0x minus 1. And now we want to get the coefficient of each term. So the coefficient of this one is 7. Coefficient of this one is 0. Coefficient of this one is 0. Coefficient of this one is just negative 1. So you want to get the constant term in each. And then we're just going to bring it up here. Switch back to white. I'm just going to bring it up here. Leave some space in the bottom. 7, 0, 0, negative 1. And now, start off with blue. Okay. So the first term, we're just going to bring it down. And then what we're going to do is we're going to multiply. So 7 times negative 2 is negative 14. So that's where we're going to put this. We just carry it out. So Different color then. 0 minus 14 is negative 14. We're going to do it again. We're going to take negative 14 times negative 2. So negative 14 times negative 2 is 28. Okay, different color. Okay, we're going to do these two. 0 plus 28, just 28. Okay, and now we're going to do it again. 28 times 2. Okay, wait. Okay, what we're going to do is 28 times 2. Okay, and from that, times negative 2, we get negative 56. And once you do that out, you have negative 1 minus 56, you're going to have negative 56. I mean, negative 57. Okay, and if your last term is not 0, okay, let's see, last term is not 0, okay, and that is your remainder. Okay, so we'll just leave that aside for now. Okay, now we want to format our answer. Okay, so we don't have any x's here or exponents, so what we can do is we started off with 3, right? So if we start off with 3, we're always going to be 1 less. So then we can start with the first number, which is 7, and 1 less than 3 is 2, so it's going to be 7x squared. And then we just keep going, minus 14x, because it's an x, it goes 2, it goes 2, then it goes 1, and then just 28. Okay, that is our answer. And then we're going to take our remainder over here, negative 57, and we're going to put it over this number, x plus 2. And that is your answer. Okay, we'll do one more. If your last term is 0, then you wouldn't even have this. It would just be that. But those are easier. Okay, we'll do one more example. We're going to do x to the third plus 5x squared minus 3x plus 4 divided by x minus 3. Okay, we're going to take this, bring it over here, x minus 3, 0, and we have x is equal to 3. Okay, we're going to format it again. Put 3 on the outside. We're going to go down here and find the coefficients. So x third plus x squared minus 3x plus 4. And now this one, the coefficients are in order, so it goes 3, 2, 1. So we just have to leave it. We don't have to add anything. We just have to find the coefficients. So the coefficients are 1, 5, negative 3, and 4. Just constant terms. Okay, now we're going to bring them up here. It's going to be 1, 5, negative 3, and 4. Okay, we're going to start with blue again. So the first term you always bring down 1, and then you multiply by here. 1 times 3 is 3. You're going to add the two numbers, and you get 8. You're going to do that again. 8 times 3 is 24. And then you're going to do 24 minus 3, which is, again, color 21. You're going to do 21 times 3. And you do that out. 63. And add them. I forgot. You're going to add them. So 63 plus 4 is 67. That's fine. Okay, and now we're going to format it. Okay, we're going to take yellow. Okay, so we start off with 3, so that means our answer is going to be to the power of 2. I mean, the leading term is, the leading degree is going to be 2. Okay, we're going to start here. Give me x squared over here plus 8x over here plus 21. And since this number is not 0, then it's our remainder. Okay, now we're going to format it like usual, plus 67 over this number, x minus 3. And that is your answer. Yeah, hope this helped.